And we understand, Mr. Speaker, even in media, that the BBC is funded by taxpayers' money in Britain, meaning that BBC is funded to push the foreign agenda of the British people internationally, Mr. Speaker.
It happens world over. People are killed, our people are killed, we sympathize, we moved on, even world over.
Welcome to the chaotic world of Kenyan politics, where Parliament has become a stage for absurdity. It's April and Kenya's MPs are making headlines for all the wrong reasons, dodging accountability, pushing unpopular taxes, and ignoring the people's cries. From the deadly June 2024 protests to the looming Finance Bill 2025, this is a masterclass in political missteps. Join us as we unpack the scandals fueling Kenya's frustration, with insights from X and the BBC's Blood Parliament documentary. Let's dive in. Meet John Kiarie, the MP whose words seem to dodge accountability. On Tuesday, he stood in Parliament not to demand justice for the unarmed protesters killed during the June 25, 2024 anti-tax demonstrations, but to criticize the British government. Why? The BBC's Blood Parliament documentary exposed Kenyan security forces' role in the deadly crackdown. Kiarie questioned why the BBC dared ask the same questions Kenyans have been shouting for months. Instead of addressing the truth that live bullets met peaceful protesters waving flags, he deflected blame to foreign media.
And we understand, Mr. Speaker, even in media, that the BBC is funded by taxpayers' money in Britain, meaning that BBC is funded to push the foreign agenda of the British people internationally, Mr. Speaker. And so we must know, is BBC speaking as a mouthpiece of the government and the people of Britain? Or what is it that the BBC is doing? Could it be an attempt to untwist this country so that they can rescind on the rider that we put on their training of the Batuk units in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, and perpetuate a history of extractive economy, oppressive economy, and exploitative economy in a very unfair trade balance between Kenya and the UK. Mr. Speaker, even as we debate this matter, it is not lost to us that yes, there were unfavorable events that took place in the time and the lead up to the finance bill.
It's a classic MP tactic. When the truth hurts, point fingers elsewhere. Kenyans aren't falling for it. On X, users called it a shameless dodge, with many demanding leaders to focus on justice, not distractions. Kiarie was backed by his counterpart Mandera North MP Bashir Abdullahi, while responding to the BBC documentary Blood Parliament, which covers the events of June 25, 2024, when young Kenyans lost their lives during the Gen Z protests. Abdullahi's statement dismissed the documentary as inflaming tensions and misrepresenting Kenya, suggesting that deaths are a common occurrence globally and that people should move on after sympathizing for a few days.
It happens world over. People are killed, our people are killed, we sympathize, we moved on, even world over. We lost lives of our fellow Kenyans. Shameful in the sense that democracy of the parliament was about to be infringed. And nevertheless, it has come at this time, a time that we have really moved on. We spoke about that issue in this house, discussed it, sympathized, mourned our fellow Kenyans who passed on during that day. However, it has come at this time again as much as we agree that our fellow Kenyans lost their lives, unfortunately, but we also moved on to ensure that we reconcile the country as we move on. BBC World Service has attended to this matter in a way that also looked at the Kenyan society or the African society as something that discriminatory, sort of, if I may say so.
This remark has sparked backlash. Nelson Amenya responded on X. So last year, the British government asked the Kenyan regime what support they needed to stabilize the country. Their brilliant answer? Just help Raila get the AUC seat. The Brits said sure, why not? Naturally, the regime bungled it. Raila lost. Fast forward a few months, and now one of RUTO's top sycophants is out here accusing the same British government of pushing an agenda because of a documentary that is well factual. You really have to admire the consistency in incompetence. Quote and unquote. If Kiarie's rant was tone deaf, the looming Finance Bill 2025 is pouring fuel on Kenya's anger. After the rejection of the 2024 Finance Bill, which sparked deadly protests, MPs seem to have learned a little. Kenyans are gearing up to reject the 2025 bill, fearing it will pile on more taxes to fund a bloated 4.2 trillion Kenyan shillings budget. On X, President William Ruto posted, chaired a cabinet meeting at State House, Nairobi, that approved the finance bill and budget for 2025-2026 year. The bill prioritizes measures that seals loopholes for tax fraud and makes administration of tax effective and efficient. Immediately, Happy Bonaya slammed President Ruto for increasing the budget instead of cutting costs, warning, you chaired a cabinet meeting to approve a finance bill that drains Kenyans dry while the corrupt roam free. We said no last year, and it's still a no today. We are not slaves of the system. Hard no to the 2025-2026 finance bill. Hashtag reject finance bill 2025. Hashtag enough is enough. Soko analyst posted, the Finance Bill 2025 has been approved by the cabinet. Let me shock you. No one dared to speak up against any issues therein. They were all afraid to speak up. They have budgeted for 10 billion Kenyan shillings for public education and participation to ensure it passes. The details of the bill are worse than that of 2024. The bigger picture is bleak. While Kenyans battle rising debt, unemployment and corruption, their MPs deflect blame and push policies that hurt more than help. From awarding themselves tenders to ignoring constituents' cries, these lawmakers seem more interested in protecting their egos than governing. Kenyans are no strangers to their leaders' antics, but this parliament's missteps feel like a new law. The question isn't whether MPs will spark outrage again, it is how long the nation will tolerate this foolishness before demanding change. Will the hashtag reject finance bill 2025 movement force a rethink, or will the circus continue? What do you think? Share your thoughts. Newsroom, Maisha TV, Bushabi Jr.